Okay, let's unpack this for you. Imagine walking into a crowded room and everyone is staring. Not at your incredible outfit, not at something clever you just said, but purely at your eyes. It's an immediate, almost, magnetic fascination. That's the feeling we're diving into today as we uncover the world's rarest eye colors. We're talking about the shades and patterns so unique, so incredibly uncommon that most of us have probably never actually seen them in person. This deep dive is all about pulling back the curtain on those rarest of the rare, the surprising facts, and, the sheer breathtaking beauty of these unusual hues, drawing directly from the sources you shared with us.
Now, what's truly fascinating here, beyond just the immediate visual impact, is how much more there is to eye color than meets the eye. Literally. We're going to explore not just the visual uniqueness, but also the remarkable science and the incredible genetic journeys that lie beneath these really captivating traits. It's a journey into the subtle mechanics that make each pair of eyes, a universe of its own.
Absolutely. And to truly appreciate the extraordinary, I think we first need to understand the ordinary, right? So let's set our baseline. When you look around the globe, you'll find that a massive percentage, somewhere between 70 to 80% of the world's population, has brown eyes.
Huge majority.
This widespread prevalence is primarily because the brown pigment, melanin, is genetically dominant. It's the most common by an overwhelming margin, kind of shaping the vision of billions.
That's right. It truly is the default, you could say. And then you start to move into significantly less common territory with blue eyes. They make up only about 8 to 10% of the global population.
Yeah.
Much smaller.
Already a big jump down.
A huge jump.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets historically really profound. All blue eyes, across every single person who has them today, trace back to a single genetic mutation. Just one single mutation. This remarkable event occurred thousands of years ago, somewhere between 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, likely in the region around the Black Sea.
That's incredible to think about, isn't it? One tiny genetic flicker in an ancestor, and now hundreds of millions of people share that legacy.
Yeah, it's a powerful testament to how profoundly intertwined human genetics and, global migration truly are.
Definitely. Okay, so moving further down the rarity scale, we encounter green eyes. Even more unusual, found in only about 2% of the population.
Tiny percentage.
So already we're talking about truly small percentages. But here's the twist for you, listener. The truly rarest eye colors aren't even on this common list we just mentioned. We're talking about shades and patterns you've probably never seen in person, colors that exist on the very fringes of human genetics. Now, this is where our deep dive gets truly mind-bending, I think, because the rarest colors aren't what you might expect, like simply a lighter or darker version of what we've discussed. Yep. We're talking about hues and conditions that are so distinct, so incredibly rare, that they make you genuinely stop and wonder.
Let's start with amber eyes. These are often mistaken for light brown or maybe even hazel. But a true amber eye has this unmistakable, distinct golden or coppery hue. Think of liquid gold, maybe, or the rich warmth of honey. Right. Their unique color comes from high levels of a yellow pigment called lipochrome. To give you a better idea, lipochrome is the same kind of pigment that gives color to things like egg yolks or the vibrant orange of a carrot.
Ah, okay. So it's not just any yellow pigment, but a specific type of yellow pigment that creates that particular warmth. That's a great distinction. And when you said extreme rarity, you weren't kidding, were you?
No, not at all. Only about 0.01% of people naturally possess amber eyes.
0.01%.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, that's like 1 in 10,000 people. And it's true, they often have this striking, almost primal depth to them, a gaze reminiscent of the eyes you might see in wolves or maybe big cats. It's that clear, singular golden tone, without the flecks of green or brown you'd typically see in hazel eyes.
That's an incredibly small fraction of humanity. Wow. Okay, next on our list are gray eyes. For a long time, I, like many people probably, thought they were just a lighter shade of blue. But that's not quite right, is it? What exactly makes a gray eye gray?
No, they're fundamentally different from blue eyes, though both rely on how light scatters, which we can get into. Less than 1% of the population has pure gray eyes. The key distinction is that gray eyes have more collagen. That's a type of protein forming connective tissues in the very front layer of the iris, the stroma.
More collagen. Okay.
All right. And this increased collagen density scatters light differently than in blue eyes. It absorbs some wavelengths and reflects others, creating that distinctive steel-like, sometimes cloudy, almost smoky appearance. It's a very dynamic shade, too. People with gray eyes often notice their color shifting subtly depending on the lighting or the weather or even the color of their clothing.
Huh. Like a mood ring, but for eyes.
Sort of. It's a remarkable optical illusion based on light.
That's quite unique, the way they seem to adapt. And then we get into shades that almost sound mythical, or, highly exaggerated, red or violet eyes. When most people think of violet eyes, the first person that often comes to mind is Elizabeth Taylor. What's the actual reality behind those stunning, often talked about colors?
Yeah, the Elizabeth Taylor thing is famous, but red or violet eyes are indeed extremely rare, and they are seen almost exclusively in people with a specific genetic condition, albinism. In individuals with albinism, there's a complete or near complete lack of melanin. That's the pigment that typically colors our eyes, skin, and hair.
Right.
So without melanin to absorb light, the light reflects directly off the tiny blood vessels inside the eye. That's what creates that reddish or sometimes even a deep violet appearance. You're literally seeing the blood vessels showing through the iris.
Wow, okay, so it's not a pigment, it's physiology.
Exactly. And as for Elizabeth Taylor, the myth of her famously violet eyes is, well, mostly just that, a myth. While her eyes were an incredibly deep, striking blue, the violet appearance you often saw in photographs was actually a very rare combination. It was the unique light scattering from those very deep blue irises, combined with specific lighting conditions. And sometimes, even the makeup she wore amplified it. It was an optical trick, not an actual violet pigment.
Fascinating how light can play such tricks, truly. So beyond single solid colors, sometimes the eyes tell an even more complex story through multicolored patterns, don't they?
They absolutely do. That brings us to heterochromia, which is a truly captivating condition. It's defined as having two different colored eyes in the same person, or even multiple colors within a single eye.
Two different colors, like one blue, one brown.
Exactly. That's what we call complete heterochromia, where you might have one eye that's a brilliant blue and the other a warm brown, for instance. Then there's also sectoral heterochromia, which is equally striking. That's where a single eye is split into two distinct colors, perhaps a segment of brown or green in an otherwise blue eye, like a little slice of a different color.
So it's like a natural, inbuilt, artistic swirl or pattern. How rare is this?
It's quite rare, affecting less than 1 in 500 people, roughly. While it's often a harmless genetic trait, just something you're born with, it can also develop later in life due to an injury, certain medications, or even an underlying illness, though that's less common. But yeah, it's always something that definitely makes you look twice.
I can imagine. And then there are some truly extreme, incredibly rare structural differences in the eye itself, which sound almost, fantastical.
Indeed. We're talking about conditions like anisocoria and what's known as cat's eye syndrome. Anisocoria is when a person has pupils of different sizes. One pupil might be significantly larger or smaller than the other. It's often subtle, but sometimes quite noticeable.
Different size pupil.
And then cat's eye syndrome, or more technically, it's often related to a condition called coloboma, is an incredibly rare genetic mutation. In this condition, part of the iris doesn't fully close during development in the womb. This can leave a distinctive keyhole or even a slit-like pupil, which genuinely resembles a feline eye. It's a significant structural alteration, and it can impact vision as well as appearance.
Wow. Okay, so what does this all mean then? We've been talking about light, melanin, collagen, but how does eye color actually work? If it's not like painting a canvas, we keep saying there isn't really blue or green pigment, so what exactly are we seeing?
That's such a crucial point, and it's a common misconception that your iris is simply colored like, a painted surface. It's not. Your iris doesn't actually contain blue or green pigments in the way paint does. The color we perceive is a complex and, frankly, beautiful result of a dance between three main things. First, how light scatters as it passes through the clear, fibrous tissue of your iris, that's called Rayleigh scattering, similar to why the sky is blue. Second, the concentration of melanin, which is always a brown pigment, even in blue eyes, just in very tiny amounts. And third, the microscopic architecture or structure of your eye tissues themselves.
So it's less about what specific colors are in there physically and more about how light interacts with the density and the arrangement of what's already there. Like the structure matters as much as the pigment.
Precisely. Think of it like this. A deep ocean appears blue, right? But the water itself isn't blue pigment. It appears blue because of how it absorbs certain wavelengths of light and scatters others, specifically the blue light. In your eyes, if you have very little melanin in the front layers of the iris, and the collagen fibers in the stroma are arranged in a certain way, light scatters back primarily as blue. With a bit more melanin and maybe a different scattering pattern due to structure, you get green. And if you have a lot of melanin, it absorbs most of the light, making the eye appear brown.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so these rare colors, like amber or true gray, often occur because of very specific genetic mutations. These mutations lead to unique levels of these pigments, like the high lipochrome in amber eyes, or unusual arrangements to the eye's internal structures, which fundamentally alter how that light is handled.
That perfectly explains then why some babies are born with blue eyes that later turn brown, doesn't it? I always wondered about that.
It does, exactly. Many infants are born with blue eyes simply because their melanin production hasn't fully kicked in yet. It's still developing. As they grow in their first few months or years of life, more melanin is produced and deposited in the iris, which can then shift their eye color from blue to maybe green, hazel, or eventually brown. But for people with the rarest shades, like amber or true gray, their eye color generally stays consistent because their specific pigment levels, or lack thereof, and their unique genetic and structural makeup are pretty much set from a very young age.
Right.
Which really raises an important question, doesn't it? If it's not just pigment, what exactly is happening at that microscopic level to create this incredible spectrum of human eye color we see? It's this dynamic interplay, a unique genetic signature in every single one of us.
Speaking of things we think we know about eyes, let's take a quick moment to bust some common myths. The most prevalent one I hear all the time is that green eyes are the absolute rarest in the world. But as we've just discussed, that's not quite true, is it?
Yeah, it's a really widespread and persistent myth, but definitely not accurate. While green eyes are indeed rare, making up only about 2% of the population, we've just explored several shades that are far, far rarer. Amber eyes, for instance, we said are found in less than 0.01% of people. That's way rarer.
Much rarer.
Pure gray eyes are also less common than green. And conditions like complete heterochromia affect less than 1 in 500 people. So while green is definitely uncommon and beautiful, it's certainly not the rarest by a long shot.
Good to clarify. And what about the idea that your mood changes your eye color? Like if you're angry, your eyes get darker and stormy, or if you're really happy, they sparkle more intensely. We've all heard someone say that, I feel like.
That's another fascinating misconception, probably driven by observation, right? Because it looks like they change sometimes. While strong emotions can absolutely cause your pupils to dilate or contract, for example, when you're excited or scared or even in love, your pupils tend to get larger. And that makes your irises appear slightly darker or maybe more intense because you're seeing less of the colored part relative to the black pupil. But this is purely an optical effect, not a pigment shift. Your pupils are simply changing size, altering how much of your iris is visible or how light enters the eye. They do not actually change the underlying pigment in your iris overnight. The color of your iris, once it's developed, is pretty much fixed, determined by your genetics, and that incredibly subtle way light interacts with the melanin and structure within.
Right, so it's more about the pupil size creating an illusion of change. Got it. It's still amazing how much fascination surrounds eye color, though. Humans just seem inherently drawn to what is rare, and eye color is definitely no exception. We often hear anecdotes, don't we, about how people with incredibly rare eye colors receive more attention, maybe in social settings or even romantic contexts. It's almost as if the rarity itself enhances their perceived attractiveness or intrigue.
That's absolutely true, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really a fundamental aspect of human psychology. We are instinctively drawn to the unique and the uncommon. It's the same psychological principle, really, that makes precious gems so valuable or rare art so revered. Their scarcity contributes directly to their perceived worth and fascination.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Our brains are basically wired to notice what deviates from the norm, what stands out in a crowd, and a rare eye color is a very striking and immediate deviation, isn't it? It sparks curiosity and admiration almost instantly. It's a subtle way our biology and psychology kind of intertwine.
Definitely. So we've journeyed through this incredible spectrum of eye colors today, from the most common browns that, blanket most of the globe, to the truly unique and incredibly rare shades like amber, gray, and those fascinating conditions like heterochromia and even cat's eye syndrome. We've explored how the intricate science of light, melanin, and structure creates this amazing diversity, and how some popular myths just don't quite hold up under scrutiny. It's been a real deep dive into the microscopic wonders behind our everyday vision.
Indeed. And it's a profound testament, I think, to the intricate workings of human genetics and biology. It's a reminder of the astonishing variety coded into our very being. Every pair of eyes truly tells a story, a unique genetic blueprint written over millennia.
So, whether your eyes are a shade shared by millions or so rare that only a tiny handful of people in the world have them, Remember, every pair of eyes tells a unique story written in your DNA, a story that started thousands of years ago with genetic shifts and evolutionary journeys. And the next time you meet someone with a color you've never seen before, or maybe even just pause to truly look into a familiar pair of eyes, consider the deep, complex genetic history unfolding right there. You might just be looking into one of the most unique biological marvels, reflecting an ancient and singular tale. A real window to the soul, as they say, but maybe also a window into our shared genetic past.